Hello, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to the weekly show with Rufus Opus. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? With my thing. All right, so today I wanted to talk about Luke's in the Darkness is what I named this particular topic. I want to talk about being a light in the darkness and conjuring light in the darkness. This started because actually my kid went town last week for Thanksgiving. Had a great time. My son is a wonderful person and I love him very much. But it reminded me of past times where holidays were not so great all the time. When I was uh, in other relationships and hanging out with people who are not as much fun as the people that I hang out with these days. Family times are tough. I have a friend who recently got a restraining order against his parents. And there's a lot of things that are not great that happen between family members, and this is a time of year where people are trying to get in touch with their family and everything, and it can be a little bit annoying for sure to put up with that, but also it's super draining, and I thought after Thanksgiving, like I said, my son was great. I'm not complaining about his presence at all, but just in general, after doing holiday stuff, you need to revitalize yourself and recharge. So I'm actually going to be doing a hermetic harmonization is what I was calling it. And let me see if it's loaded up here somewhere. Yes. Okay, all right, so this is what a little graphic I have for it. So the Hermetic Harmonization is going to be a seven spheres tune-up. And this is inspired by a friend of mine who pinged me and was talking about some stuff, and I was like, I love the holidays, but it's hard for a lot of things. Hey, how's it going, Deanna? Good to see you. But it was we were talking, and he mentioned that he had done a pop-up healing session a couple weeks back, and it was very useful and effective for people. And I thought that the way he had done it sounded like something that I thought was right up what I was looking for, because I wanted to have a way to bring a simple ritual that we can all participate in together to people, so that we can do a conjuration of the seven spheres and get a little bit more light, a little bit more Luke's energy in our lives in general. So next Saturday, and I'll be talking a little bit more about what we're going to be doing with it as we go through today's session. But yeah, next Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. It'll be at 5:30 Pacific because that is the lunar hour. The process that we're doing is basically I figured out that the moon passes through all seven spheres every day, and it absorbs the energies of the other planets before an idea is made to manifest in the material world. So the moon passes through the rays of the other six planets. It receives those powers, and so when we're doing a conjuration, a ritual that's designed to impact multiple spheres or the moon plus other spheres, the lunar hour is the safest bet to go to, because she has an affinity for all the other spirits and for all the other planets. And if you want to know where that comes from, it comes from Ptolemy's comments on using silver for talismans of the moon, and also for every other metal. It's his justification for or for every other planet. His justification for being able to use silver for every type of talisman is that basically the moon passes through the rays of all the other spheres, receives them, and then transmutes them and reflects them into the material world so that they can manifest. That's why she's in charge of waxing and waning. It's the way things come into being. So, so we're going to do the ritual on a lunar hour. That's why it's at 5:30 next Saturday. We'll conjure all seven spirits of the seven spheres. We'll be using the Orphic hymn to conjure the deity, or to call on the deity. We'll use the archangels from Tycho Brahe's magical calendar, and the spirits of the pinnacles of the Key of Solomon. The four spirits of each of the pinnacles will be brought into that. Let me see if I have those. Yes, I do. Okay. So anyway, that's again, that's next Saturday at 5:30. If you are a member of my YouTube stuff, the discounts that you get for the different layers, like I think at one level it's keep the lights on, you get 10% off. Different layers you get 25, 50, and 50% off of things depending on what level you're a subscriber at my channel. Please feel free to use those on this thing. Oh, I forgot to put the link to the events. I'll add the link to the comments eventually. Yeah, actually, let me see if I can do that now. Anyway, yeah, so that's next weekend. Prominently. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so we'll go through all of those. The intent of this ritual is to bring more light into our lives, right? And after dealing with Thanksgiving, I don't know how you are with your spheres, but it's a good time to revitalize, re-energize, and reattune yourself, especially going into the combined darkness of the winter, right? It's the long dark here in the northern hemisphere. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, the sun goes down at 3:30 p.m. these days. It's 4:20 actually is when the actual sunset is, but it starts to get dark at 3:30 now. It's mega depressing if you have seasonal affective disorder. Hydration is important. Yeah, so as it gets darker, it's kind of a metaphor for life, because right now we're going through some dark times. At least if you're liberal-minded or you care about things like the Constitution, you might not be having the best of times here in America under our current regime. But things can seem dark. I don't think it's as bad as the media wants us to think. I don't think it's as great as Trump wants us to think, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as everybody likes to make it out to be. It's pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not why we're here. The mind of God did not imagine existence for the point of having political conversations at our dinner tables on Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's not what it's for. Everything didn't come into being so we could be Democrats or Republicans. Everything came into being so that we could enjoy and experience our lives. I believe that the primary commandment that we have as magicians is fuck around and find out. It is not I was commenting on someone's post the other day and I said that and I was like, this is what we do. The idea that you should. There's this thing that people do in the occult where they warn you not to do magic because it's dangerous. Right? I hate that when people do that because there is nothing that you can pull up with magic that you can't put down with magic. And the idea that this is that you're going to screw yourself up forever, it's not how life works. I've made enough huge mistakes in my life that I can tell you that everything gets better. No matter how bad the things you did were or how badly hurt people are or how badly hurt you are, if it doesn't kill you, chances are you're going to laugh at a joke again before you die. It's not like you spend the rest of your days in misery, okay? And this, when you go through hard times, what it teaches you is that hard times are temporary and they lead to better times. And that's something that a lot of people don't believe. A lot of people have given up believing that, and then they just sit there in their squalor and their suffering. But when you forget that you conjure the light to empower the change in your life, when you remember that you're here to do that, your life will transform and it'll continue to evolve. You'll raise the vibration of your sphere. You'll find out new things. You'll make new friends. Once thou fucketh around, verily thou wilt findeth out. PGM somewhere. Exactly. That's exactly how it goes. And I try not to quote the Bible, but I have a lot of Bible quotes stuck in my head. So, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, right? I mean, we don't have a spirit of fear, but of power, right? We're here to manifest and create things. It's what we're here to do. But but a lot of people forget that. The Divine Pymander talks about how we were made in the image of our Creator, the source of all, the noetic mind. When it talks about when we are distracted by the material things in life rather than pursuing our source, we end up being subject to the powers of the evil daimon. And the evil daimon drives us to distraction with our desires and wants us to want things to the point where we no longer can appreciate them if we even got them. You know, the desire for it became so much stronger than the actual pleasure that you could derive from it that it becomes meaningless to you. And that's what the evil daimon does. And this is what happens to people who aren't pursuing God. Okay, does it sound like depression to you? I mean, does it sound like the apathetic nihilism that a lot of people face? I mean, I think it is. To me, I definitely think it's the apathetic nihilism that people fall into when they don't, when I don't know, like talking to my son when he was here, like, he's 24 and he's going through the same things I went through when I was 24 in terms of growth and coming to terms with what's going on in the world around us and figuring out what kind of man you want to be. And honestly, at 50, I'm still going through it, you know. It's I don't know if I think if you've already figured out what kind of man you want to be, you're not going to be you're not going to keep changing. You're not going to keep striving for something new. I work better when I believe that there's something better to become. And I like to go towards that. It makes me happy. But I don't try to tell other people what to do, but that's what I do. Anyway, he doesn't know that things get better, is what I'm trying to say. He's 24. He's struggled with not very much. He came to consciousness politically when roughly around the time that Trump lost to Biden, right? Or to Biden. Oh, Biden. Anyway, Biden. Somewhere around there, around the Trump and Biden presidencies are when he gained political consciousness, and he doesn't know that it's not always like this. He doesn't know that it's that there's a different way to do things, and he thinks that's how bad it's going to be forever. It's not. I've been through worse, and it passes. I happen to know that we had in the 60s in the United States, there's a lot of protests. And then we had the 70s, 80s, and 90s where things were not great for a lot of people, but there wasn't a lot of violence. There was enough opportunity to go around that people were able to do things besides protest. Right? Once again, we're getting squeezed by our corporate overlords and the billionaires who can't get enough. And they're squeezing us, and we're all about protesting and fighting, and we're all getting more and more political. And the reason people are political is because the news media is fanning the flames of an ignorant population. Studies have shown that what happened, the reason Donald Trump was elected, is because bots from Russia and China created a polarized United States through social media and convinced ignorant people who don't fact check that Donald Trump would be a good president. And that's literally what the science has shown. Like, they've done analysis, and slowly but surely you see Trump's... Anyway, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the point is that politics come and go, right? And they're never great. Okay, prices, inflation. You know, my son has a lot of opinions about the political situation and the economic situation that we find ourselves in. I do too. I think capitalism is a crappy way to run things, but it is a system we have, whether we want to do it or not. We are in a capitalist system, so I'm not opposed to using capitalism to get by because we have to. But you strive for something better that's more compassionate and less destructive, you know, or something more enlightened and illuminated where it doesn't destroy its resources, you know. You hope. But anyway, all that stuff is shit, you know, and he hasn't figured that out yet. But he's trapped in the pursuit of politics and money and well-being and friendships. I mean, I'm sorry, I love my friends. I have great friends. But I have had great friends before. I've had great friendships, great circles, great social circles. And then when I quit drinking, it all fell apart, and it just was because a lot of it was based on stuff that I didn't understand at the time, and I expected things to go one way, and it didn't when I quit drinking, because I thought I would have a great social community full of supporting people, but it didn't work out that way because I also left my partner at the time, and there was a lot of sticky stuff around that, you know. Um, anyway, the point is you put a lot of energy in your friend groups and everything, and then even that is subject to go away, especially if you're if you're a self-destructive alcoholic, right? I mean, like I was at the time. But also, I mean, it's just regular people who are not self-destructive alcoholics also put a lot of effort and energy into their friend groups, and then somebody says something they don't like, or somebody's kid gets mouthy with them at a birthday party, and then the whole friend group is cracked. You know, it's you never know what it's going to take or how little it's going to take to ruin whatever you've got going on. So eventually, you know, you have to realize that your personal pleasure and your projects that you're working on have to come from yourself, and not from other things. But these other things, they seem appealing, but they're empty and they are hollow. All right. And the reason that like people are all ganked about politics this week, and the same people are going to be ganked about politics next week, even though it's a completely different set of politics, is because they're escaping. They're using it to escape their reality, because reality, the things that actually matter to them, that impact their daily lives on a regular basis, that they have control over, are out of control, right? And why are they out of control? Because they're anxious about what they see in the news. All right, the news has turned a huge number of people who have anxiety and other issues. You know, it's turned us into anxious people who can't get anything done and won't focus on the things that we can do in our lives. So we focus on all these things that are out of our control. We feel helpless, and we just do things to feel better, to make ourselves feel a little bit better for a minute, because sorry, I just my screen just shifted, because things can be scary otherwise. You know, it's all stupid chemistry and biochemistry. Okay, this isn't rocket science. All right, this is just normal politicization, right? But as magicians, we're not supposed to be stuck in that. Okay, we're not going to find any joy in that. The Corpus Hermeticum says you won't find any joy in these things because they are not pursuing your source. All right, and the reason I call myself a mystagogue on this thing is because I have pursued mystical pursuits, mystical experiences. All right, Hermes has this Orphic hymn that talks about how he is the teacher of ecstatic mysteries. He's the one who can teach how to experience God, right? And as a Hermetic magician, Hermes' ability to ecstatically experience God is something I'm very much into. And I conjured that guy, and I asked him to show me those things and teach me those things. Oh, you know what? I was showing you these talismans earlier. So these are the talismans of the pinnacles of the Key of Solomon. There's like 4 spirits on one set of these talismans, and they actually they handle the materialization of things. I'm gonna get rid of that because I don't want to see that reminding me that I forgot about things. That has to do with the ritual we're going to be doing next week, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But first, more important than anything else that we do as magicians is we need to pursue our source. Okay, the last couple of weeks I was talking about the invisible fire. Okay, the divine the invisible fire that was talked about in by Anaximenes of Miletus and Heraclitus of Ephesus talked about how everything is fire. This light that permeates things, the scintillating light of intellect and consciousness that descends down through the ethers in the Orphic cosmologies. This driving light is the shining bolt through which Zeus rules this universe, according to Zeus is the all-in-all Orphic tradition, right? The shining light. He rules with the shining light and the bolt. You know, that's how he manifests. It's the light of consciousness that is how the will of God is made to manifest, and you express that light of consciousness consciously and actively as a magician, as a participant with the noetic mind, with the core demiurge. You become an avatar of that demiurge, and you are the expression and the expressor of his light, of that light of the source, through you, through your seven spheres, or through your chakras, or however you want to see it, through your energy centers that add the qualities that you're looking for in your life to your experiences. You know, you're that aspect of God that is willing, that is actively building the will of God, which is also your will. You emanated to build the things you want to build. Your desires come from God. All right, they come from the source, from Zeus, from the essence of scintillating intelligence, of consciousness. You are consciousness in your cells that expresses itself through your ideas and your thoughts and your words and your wants. The things that you build are the impulses that are coming to you from spiritual sources on high. Everything we want to do and want to create is coming from up there. All right, now evil men in this world forget that. We forget that we're supposed to be pursuing our deity, and we get caught up in these games that other people play. All right, we can create some pretty fascinating, realistic things that function as if they were real, even though they're just ideas that impact people's lives. We can do that. We are just like the entity that created everything. We are just like that. We were made in the image of this creator God. And we create things that are seemingly real because we have that power. Money isn't real. How can we owe more money? Like, what is the global debt? Right? What is our global debt? Our global debt is like $28 billion, 28 or $2.3 trillion, something like that. To who? Who do we owe all that money to? Globally, there's more debt than there is income. Who do we owe it to? You know, if I paid off all my debts and those people paid off all their debts, you know, everybody paid off all their debts, you know, there's still the same amount of money because it's not real. Debt isn't real. Debt is a motivator to get you to do things, but it's not real. There's no such thing as money. It doesn't grow on trees. Money doesn't grow on trees because it's not real. It has to be manufactured and printed, and everybody has to tell you what it means. And this whole thing is all an idea, right? That's what we do with things, you know? Relationships, social structures, what is normative versus what is divergent. These are all ideas that come out of our minds, and we talk about it, and we just kind of figure out this is sort of what I think, and we sort of agree almost consciously, but not really, to do things a certain way as a group of people, you know? But, sorry, hang on, I got it real quick. Okay, never mind. Not my problem. Good to know. Good to know. Sorry, I got a message from my work account that I needed to deal with. But anyway, yeah, so where was I? I was talking about I don't remember exactly what I was talking about, but we were talking about the scintillating intelligence being what we are, right? And it's the consciousness through which the will of Zeus is manifested, the will of God is manifested. Anyway, back to the divine pymander. All right, and politicians and billionaires and all that shit. Oh yeah, we're talking about how we can create our own world and we create this whole system of money, but it isn't real, right? So in the same way that we can create that and this capitalist system and global trade and all this stuff, you know, tariffs between countries and all these games that we play, that's a manifestation of our godlike ability to create systems and structures and stuff. But when we create these things in ways that make us focus on the path instead of the essence, I think that's where we fuck up. And when we fuck up, what I mean by that is we get out of harmony. We are out of resonance with the manifestation of things. As soon as we stop pursuing the thing that we found in the darkness when we were pursuing the light, when we stop trying to create that and we start doing things like for rent or for all these other things. Here, let me give you an example. All right, so like when my kids were young, I wanted a minivan, and I did a ritual to get money for a minivan, because the minivan I needed was $5,400 and I didn't have it. So I did a ritual to get money for the minivan, and I did the ritual and I got the money, and then the money had to go to something else because everything else broke down, and it wasn't for that. Because I manifested the money, it wasn't the money I needed for the car. All right, so I rethought it and I went back and I did a ritual to manifest a minivan, right? And then I got the minivan opportunity came into my life. Somebody had a problem with their lives. They had to get rid of their minivan. I was in a position to where I could take it, and because I had done the ritual to get the minivan, I not only got the minivan, I also got the money for the minivan, right? So by pursuing the means that I thought I needed to get what I wanted, instead of pursuing what I wanted, I got money that had to go to other things instead of what I really wanted, right? So what the lesson there for me was, conjure what you really want. Okay, so when we're born in the world and people get stuck in this cycle of samsara, or worldliness, or pursuit of money, or fame, or fortune, or any of the things in this world, right? That's the trap. Okay, those are all secondary byproducts of what a real magician, what real magic can do for you, what the transformative alchemical process of ritual conjuration can do for you as a person. If you're doing the great work, is it can turn all that stuff from being something you desire in and of itself, because you don't really know what it is, because it isn't real, it's not real. You want it because you think it'll bring you want what it represents, but when you have the things, it doesn't give you the stuff. All right, Eliphas Levi, he wrote in Dogma et Ritual, that he wrote a bunch of stuff about how magicians have to work hard and do all this stuff that's hard to do, and be a certain way to be successful as a magician. If you study well and you control your impulses and you know yourself and do this and do that and do this and do that and do this and do that, then you're going to be in the right mindset to be a magician. And that's pursuing, in my opinion, that's pursuing the side effects instead of the source. All right, when I've done the magic to pursue my source, and I'm talking about conjuring the archangel and asking it to help me understand how it can manifest the mind of God, so that I can understand the mind of God better, right? Asking Venus, the Anael of Venus, to show me God, right? Asking Samael of Mars to show me God, asking Aries to show me the martial aspects of God, asking Aphrodite or Helios or Jupiter, Jove, Zeus, asking these gods to show me the real God underneath, right? The mind of what they were manifested to do. It opens up a crack in the universe. It opens up the source between us and the light. It shatters the barriers that stand between us, and all we have to do is turn our faces away from the side effects of the things and to God, right? In the Bible it says, seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto you. That God loves the flowers well enough to make sure they're dressed. What it means is, if you pursue your source, you get the things you need. And what it looks like practically is, you go into the dark, you do a conjuration, you ask the spirits to show you the light, they reveal an aspect of the light, and then you come back and you start working on it. And you work on it and you create it and you build it, because it's so beautiful and it's what you want to do, because you're inspired. It's inspiring to you. It touches on your creative impulses, and it makes you want to create things. That's what exposure to the light of God can do. It generates in you a spark of creativity that creates the tone that everything else around you is going to resonate to. It creates a symphony out of your life. It creates a harmonic resonance that lets you ride that resonance towards your manifested goal, because it's going to manifest, because it has to, because you're drawing it to you like a lodestone draws iron, right? You're doing it because you understand. You're using the understanding that you've gotten in your initiations to pursue and manifest this chunk of the light that you saw in your personal experience when you were pursuing God. All right, this is what the divine Pymander says is piety, right? It's pursuing God. That's why every morning, I didn't do it this morning because, sorry, Diana. Oh, Diana, sorry, I missed the chant this morning. It was because I was completely exhausted, and I just didn't do the chant. So, but every other day, I try to do a chant. I try to do this daily thing where I get in touch with God and communicate with it and hang out in the presence of the spirits. Every day I do the Orphic hymn of the day. I conjure the Archangel of the Spirit and the four spirits of the Key of Solomon, of the Pentacles. Every day I talk to them and I ask them to bless me and to resonate with me and to raise the tincture of my sphere. Because when I do that, it draws the light into my life, okay? And it empowers me to do different things. It brings me into harmony with all these other things, right? I mean, I still have to do stuff. If I just do the chant and then wait for things to get better, that's not how it works, right? You still have to do things. I have to plan out things. I have to pursue the plan. I have to go through the steps. I have to do the maintenance and the operations of this stuff, you know. And it's not like anybody's going to do it for me, you know. One of the things I realized recently is that the biggest obstacle people have is they don't want to do things. You know, you just don't want to do it. You know, like. You don't want to breathe. Like, you have to breathe, but you don't want to. It's such a pain in the ass, you know? This matches much of my work with Hecate, more like witch fire than light, though. Can you elaborate on whether this is something that translates to other systems? Absolutely, yes. Nicosaurus Rex, absolutely. I love your name, too. Nicosaurus Rex is awesome. All right, so, yes, absolutely, it translates to other things. So my wife is a Hecatean, and she pursues Hecate, and Hecate in the Chaldean oracles is described as the world soul, right? She's the mother. She's the world soul. In the Corpus Hermeticum, it's like the spiritus mundi, right? The spirit of the world. She is the mother of everything and gives birth to everything. She's the womb. She is the liminal, the liminal womb between the unmanifest and the manifest. And when you pursue her utterly, what you find is you can have a transcendent moment where you become one with everything, right? And you understand that she is the gate, right, between the worlds, and also the goddess of the gate, and also the intelligence of the gate, and also she loves you, right? And you have this whole mixture of amazing experiences where you experience the universe as if it were one thing. That's ecstatic mystery. That's the direct experience of the ecstatic mystery that Hermes teaches. Right? Hermes is the god of the gym and all that stuff, and one of his things in the Orphic hymn is he teaches the mysteries of ecstasis, of ecstasy. And the ecstatic experience of God is any time that you've gotten yourself into either a religious frenzy, or you've conjured a spirit, or you've meditated enough, or you've chanted enough, or you've gotten something to alter your mental state to where you can vibrate with this higher being and experience it and communicate with it, right, in a way that is more of a communion than a communication. And what I mean by that is basically it's resonance. When you're in the presence of this other spirit, you know, that presence, it's vibrating like this, makes you vibrate like that. So this pure Venus energy of Anael is going to vibrate at Anael's vibration, and it's going to make you vibrate at that same level, because inside you is a portion of the power of Anael's sphere. That's what the Corpus Hermeticum teaches. We've received a portion of the power of creation in every sphere as we descended from the mind of God to the material world. All right. So when we're in the presence of these 7 entities, these 7 archangels and gods and the 28 spirits, we are also vibrating. That part of us is vibrating in tune with theirs. In the same way that if you go to Guitar City, a guitar shop, and you pluck a string, a G string, every tuned guitar that has a tuning that is in resonance with that string will vibrate. You can pluck one guitar and feel it on these other guitars, and if you do it right and they're all in tune, you'll hear it too, because the resonance will be such that it creates everything else that's at the same set of tension, same level of tension, will vibrate at the same rate. We have inside of us all of that part to vibrate in tune with these archangels. It was given to us, and when we were born, we forgot. And we remember by pursuing God, and we pursue God by doing magic. We do magic so that we're in the presence of these spirits that draw out that vibration out of us, so that we become aware of it and we learn how to use it. The initiation process is the process of clarifying our understanding of our vibration as it relates to the relationship to the vibration of Mars and Venus and Saturn and the Moon and Jupiter and Mercury, right? And the Sun. I think it's all of them. Anyway, but all 7 of them, you have a relationship to them. Your natal chart is a snapshot of your relationship to the planets at the time of your birth. Okay, occultists have a relationship, a lifelong relationship with these planets. When we call on them, that part of us that is of them, that they gave us before we were born, vibrates in response to their presence. You know, the reason we put them in triangles is because it keeps us from exploding. You know, it's for protection. It's to keep us safe, because that vibration is so much purer than this material realm can handle. That's why they don't have bodies. We do. We have bodies. We're still pure too, but it's different. It's different. We are the bridge between the seen and the unseen. And that's why we're able to call on these spirits to get their powers to direct the will of God through our words and through our breath. As we speak, every time you breathe out and you say something, you're combining heat and moisture and air and saliva, something physical. There's something in every word that you make that changes the matter around you, that vibrates the matter around you. You are the expresser of God, of the voice of God, right? Everything you're saying, whether it's good or bad, is coming through the voice, the vibrator box, the vibrational box of your speaking into existence-ness, right? Your ability to do that. That's what you're using every time you speak. You know, we don't have perfect lives because we don't focus our energy with our attention. Energy is focused by our attention. What we pay attention to, what we say, what we want, what we focus our mind on, what we think about while we're doing our speaking. You know, the words we choose, how we choose our words. These are all processes to express this inner vibration that we're trying to manifest. You know, if you're in control of yourself, you can make things manifest that you want. And if you're not in control of yourself, you're going to manifest things that you don't want. You know, if you've harmonized your inner spirits, you're going to have a harmonic expression of your intent, ideally, you know. But if you've got a bunch of Kako diamonds, a bunch of discordant entities, inner, what's it called? Cognitive dissonance is what they call it. A Kako diamond is basically cognitive dissonance. You know, something's out of harmony in your mind, and yet you still act as if everything's normal. That's what causes breakdowns and crash outs. You know, you've got a trauma response is hiding the reality from you that things don't work that way, because if you are going to learn how things really work, you have to go through that trauma experience again. You know, the spirits help you cleanse all that. They help you get all through that. That's why I'm doing this Hermetic Harmonization right. It's a time for us to bask in the pleasure, in the powers and the presence of these other spirits. Doing all 7 is to revitalize us after dealing with our families and our loved ones and our stress of work, the end of year. You know, if you've got a job where you have to do reporting at the end of the year, you're probably not having a great month either. You know, it's just, this is a stressful time. It's the long dark. This is traditionally, historically, it is after the harvest and before the spring planting. That's when people historically became the least structured. You don't have a daily job anymore, the most idle, the hungriest for warmth, the most susceptible to altered states, the most volatile emotionally, and the most receptive to group ecstasy, right? This is what happens in between November and January, February, right? When the light comes back, right? And it's starting to warm up again and we're getting ready for spring. This is like the time of darkness where we're all kind of a little loopy and we have weird breaks to our normally regularly scheduled events. Okay, so the reason I'm offering this Hermetic harmonization session is so that we can bask in the presence of those vibrations and let them attune us. It's a very passive healing thing, but it's also very empowering, right? And so the way we're doing this, actually, it's really cool. We got the bowls and my statement of intent and the whole conjuration, right? And we walked through it yesterday. It is incredibly powerful. It feels so much better. And just from that one session of we only did Saturn, just in preparations, and just during that one session, I think we did it for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then all day long today, we've just had everything falling into place around the foundation of some of the stuff that we were working on that we talked to Saturn about yesterday. I mean, you can't just conjure spirits and be like, hey, I was just testing. I mean, you guess you can, whatever, but I prefer to give them something to do. And when they showed up so powerfully and so present. It was like we had to give them something to do, so we directed them to some stuff. And immediately, like today, it's already starting to manifest, So when you layer in these different resonances and these different symbol sets, so like Nicole does sound healing with these bowls, right? Agrippa has a whole chapter, a whole couple of chapters where he talks about how sound relates to the 7 spheres, right? And the notes that go together, the fifths and the octaves that are necessary to manifest things. He has a chain of manifestation. Agrippa does in book I want to say 3. I'm not sure which book it is, but it's chapter 26 or 28, something like that. But it's talking about the principles of sound, and it's just a chain of manifestation by playing notes. Right? So anyway, Agrippa knew about it. It's ancient stuff. This all goes back to Pythagoras. I saw a picture the other day of Pythagoras and his fifths. And he's playing 2 bowls at once because that's what he does, is he play the 2 bowls at once. And Pythagoras taught that being in the presence of those bowls vibrating created health, and I've experienced it. It really does. It changes your consciousness to a different state. Okay? And that's what mystics have been trying to do for years, So between the bowls, I'm going to do an induction, we're going to do the conjuration, and then the presence of the spirits. It's going to bring a timeless state to you that returns you to a position of empowerment, and that will make you more efficient in your ways as you go through the long dark. Chapter 26, book 2. Yes. Thank you, Nicole. Nice of you to join us. Yes, maybe logic, a little loopy indeed. Yes, and resting now and then is quite necessary. Glad to know when you weren't ill. Yeah, I was not ill. I was just, I had some kind of, I've been dry the last couple weeks, but I'm okay. Let's see what else is going on. All right, so... Yeah, so we enter into this timeless state because in that state, we're able to experience directly the ecstasy that comes from witnessing God. All right, and I named this today's session Luke's, what was it? Something, Luke's in the darkness. What did I call this? Dang it. I don't even remember. Luke's in the darkness, shining in the long dark, right? So, yeah, so like we do this ritual like this, and the daily rituals that I do with my chant and the conjuring every day. The reason that I do that is because when we get into this timeless state, we see when we see the invisible light that permeates the universe, when we see the invisible light that channels through us, through our 7 chakras into the world around us, or through the 7 spheres into the world around us, when we see that light and we experience it, we get a glimpse of something. And I don't know how to put it. It's not necessarily a purpose, but it comes with a purpose. It's not necessarily a set of rules and regulations, but when you come back, I see people almost always having a list of things that they're going to do, right? And there's something that you see in this ecstatic state that you don't necessarily remember when you come back to full consciousness, but all of a sudden your life starts to manifest it, and because you want it, right? And when you see the light, all the other things that Levi was talking about, that Eliphas Levi was talking about, that you need to do with your life, they come as a result of you pursuing that light. Okay, it's not. Let me put my notes on this, because this was actually interesting. So Eliphas Levi has this quote: "An idle man will never become a magician. Magic is an exercise of all hours and all moments." Okay, and he's saying that you have to do magic all hours, all moments, and if you're idle, you'll never do it. Right? You will never be a good magician. The operator of great works must be absolute master of himself. Must be absolute master of himself. He must know how to repress the allurements of pleasure. Do you hear that crap? Repress the allurements of pleasure is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Okay, what he's talking about is the distractions of the flesh, distractions of the mind, distractions of politics, of the distractions of sex, the distractions of your job stress, your family dynamics, your family drama. Those are distractions of your awareness that you're supposed to be focusing on your source. On your source, on the electricity inside your eyeballs. That's what you're supposed to be trying to see. When you try to see that instead, all that other shit comes, okay? That's when you become, you're not repressing the allurements of your pleasure. Your allurements of your pleasure are drawing you to something holy and sacred. Let's see, what does he say? You must know how to refer pleasure, appetite, and sleep. You know, you have to be in control of yourself at all times. That's not how it works. When you're creating something that you saw in your mystic illuminated state, you lose sight of eating, you lose sight of sleeping, you lose sight of those things. It's not that you have mastered the control over them, it's that you naturally don't need them until you're done, because you're empowered by the light of God flowing through you. Right? That's where the power of magic comes from. And it comes from seeing God, not from chasing after willpower. You know, and I hate that Levi wrote that, because people think that it's like the Stoics. They do the Stoic practices hoping to get the Stoic mind, and that's not how it works. If you have the Stoic mind, you have the Stoic practices, because you have the Stoic mind. The Stoics do Stoic practices. The magicians do magical practices. You have to be the magician. You know, you don't do the practices. You be the magician. Every practice you do becomes a magical practice if you are the magician. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Right? That's what it's talking about. Seek God. Pursue your source. Get that noetic mindset so that it's part of what you're doing. And then all these other things are gonna fall into place. You'll find yourself, what does he say? You must be insensible to success and to indignity, right? So what he's saying is you have to lose sight of the trappings of this world, you know? How do you lose sight of the trappings of this world? You put your sight on something else. You put your sight, your awareness, your attention on what you're trying to make so much that you can't see the haters. That you can't see the insignificant distractions that are trying to take away from you. It's not because I am willpower focusing my vision only on the things that are going to get me where I want to go. It's not that. It's I love what I'm looking at so much I can't look away. If your magic is a chore, if your magical practices are a chore, you're not getting any light from it, and you're not going to get through the darkness if you aren't bringing your own light. right? So we do the magic. We do this magic to get the light, to change our lives, to illuminate ourselves, right? We do the initiation so that we can generate that light, so we can have it, so we can clear out what's blocking it, so that we can use it to create our lives, you know? And we do these daily practices because it helps us touch base with all that stuff and cleanses out our spheres, and it makes us more happy and more able to enjoy our lives. And that's why I'm offering this thing. And you should be doing this yourself. All right, and this is not for, okay, so this is for everyone. All right, it's not just for initiates. Okay, but if you're already an initiate, this is for you. Okay, but if you're not an initiate, this is also for you. It's a preparation for your initiation. This is a lightweight, passive, revitalizing and reinvigorating ritual. It's not going to cause any harm. It's only going to give you a sense of energy, a sense of urgency, and if you're paying attention, you're going to have an experience with God, right? So I think it's very important to be very clear about that and what it is. So anyway, that's basically all I wanted. Oh, one other aspect to it. I saw something the other day that said that we were had 5 planets retrograde right now. Mercury has gone direct. The 29th, I think, was when it went direct. Probably be a couple weeks of issues, but there's still other planets that are having astrological problems. This 7 spheres right is exactly the way to do planetary charity to make atonement for those conflagrations that are not in harmony with your will, right? So if you think of a retrograde planet as being sick and not being able to produce its energy in a regular way, that's how astrological talismans kind of look at it. The way you offset that is you conjure the intelligence and you make it an offering of smoke and of fire to be energized on your behalf, right? You make up for its detriment by providing your own healing energy to it, not your own, but the sources, through the offering of fire and smoke. And that's what it does, is it offsets their negative energies. So they're going to be doing that for each of the spheres, so that basically it's going to be like an uncrossing, revitalizing, refocusing, empowering, and cleansing rite, just to kind of get you focused and revitalized to get through the rest of the darkness. But regardless of whether or not you take part in this course, I want you to please pursue the light. Do light work. Do work to empower yourself to get through, because it's how we generate things, right? It's how we get to all the things that we desire from our spiritual practices: self-discipline, self-awareness, all that stuff. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna hop. I will talk to you guys next week, and if you're in the Zeus cult, I will see you tomorrow morning.